Welcome to our show tonight. Welcome to We'll Sing and We'll Shout. I am your host, Steve Hansen. I'm excited to be here tonight. I don't always feel that way every night. I don't always feel the enthusiasm, but a lot of nights I do. And I would say that most nights I actually really look forward to this. I look forward to sitting down and talking about different things, spiritual things, physical things, weight loss issues, sharing stories from the past, but also from the present. And I enjoy sharing these stories with my family. I know that I have a lot of nieces and nephews and siblings and my own children that are learning about a lot about our family history and also about me and I just enjoy sharing all that. And any friends or others who want to tune in and take part in anything that I have to share, you're certainly invited and welcome and treasured. I also very much appreciate and enjoy people's likes and comments. And if anybody else, we are going to be pulling some other family members in here at times and sharing some other family stories and family history, some of which I'm familiar with and some of which I'm not. So, but if there are other people that want to share stories that are related to the things that I'm sharing, or maybe not even at all, we would welcome that too. Anything that you want to sing and shout about, that's what this show is all about. So that is my little introduction. I want to share a few basketball things here. Last night I went out to the church after I was done with my live and played basketball for 2 hours with the older guys. We ended up playing 3-on-3, and we ended up playing for 2 hours. We played from about a quarter after 9 to a quarter after 11, and that was a lot of basketball for some of these older guys, and it was a lot of basketball for me. There was one young man out there, 15 years old, who was keeping everybody on their toes and running pretty hard. And I enjoyed playing against him because he was quick, he was fast, and it gave me a good challenge. The other guys were all pretty slow, so no big deal. But I really played pretty mediocre last night. I really wasn't too impressed with what I contributed there last night, but I still had a lot of fun, and it was a lot of good exercise. And I think the one of the reasons why my contribution seemed so mediocre last night was because I'd had that 5,000 calorie meal the night before there at Ruth's Chris. So I am now 48 hours away from that meal, and my weight has kind of stabilized back down around 176. So I was able to, pretty quickly recover from that meal experience there at Ruth's Chris. And then I just got back from playing basketball at the rec center and went over there I probably got there around 5, maybe quarter after, and I played basketball again for 2 hours. This time it was full court basketball with a bunch of young guys, and again I just really wasn't feeling it on the offensive end. It just I made a few points, but I really played a lot of good defense and just enjoyed running up and down the court and had a lot of fun with a lot of young guys. So really good stuff out there. Some of those guys I know really well and have played with a lot and like to joke around with them and stuff. And then some of the guys were fairly new, but all in all, just a lot of fun going over the Provo Rec Center. So tonight I'm going to take a drink here. I wanted to talk a little more. So I got this new book by Jason Fung. In the past I've talked about his book, The Obesity Code, and how much I love this book, how much I learned from this book about the fact that weight loss and weight gain and weight-related issues are much more about our home hormones and understanding the hormone insulin and the hormone GLP-1 and how to keep those balanced and how to keep our insulin low and under control so that our GLP-1 can be active and do what it needs to do. And when you learn those things, man, it totally flips the script on your health and on your weight loss and so many other things. And as you come to understand what the word insulin resistance means to your overall health, man, you can change the game in amazing ways, amazing ways. And I just recently got this new book called The Hunger Code. And this book is about 10 years after the fact, after he wrote this book, and amazing information in here that is still extremely applicable in our world today. That's the amazing thing about truth. It doesn't magically disappear. But Dr. Fung goes on with additional things that he's learned in this book here, The Hunger Code. And I have just started to dig into this, and I'm excited to get even further into it. This is kind of an interesting period of time for me because I am now a little more than 8 months into this weight loss experience, this physical experience that hit me so hard last July 23rd that I lost 40 pounds in about 120 days. And I've lost, another 5-ish pounds since then. And when I think about my journeys through the past, when I think about my weight loss history, when I have had those big dramatic weight loss changes for some reason, it's always around the 8 or 9 month mark that things will start to swing back, because the body has this memory. It has this memory of where we've been, and no matter what this experience was that led us down this path to our weight loss, ultimately hormones kick in, memory kicks in. I don't really understand all these biological issues going on here, but it's a very real thing because I have the history of it in my journals. And I'm going to review that a little bit tonight. One of the other, I'm thirsty because I just got done playing basketball. One of the other things that I've noted here this past year, I've watched some men and a few women, but I would say at least 3 or 4 men in my neighborhood, in my local church ward, and a few women really shrink down in size over the past year and a half or so. And I could name names here and I could talk about them individually, but I don't think that's going to be helpful or appropriate. But I will say that I know, in talking to these people, at least in talking specifically to the men, and I think this was generally true for the women that I'm thinking of too, is they had gone on the synthetic GLP-1 shots. They were getting help from the GLP-1, and they were able to do amazing things in a very reasonable amount of time. And in fact, as I watched them do this last spring, I was really amazed and impressed by what they had going on. And I would talk to them and compliment them and encourage them and say, "Wow, this is fantastic that you're able to lose this weight, and this looks really good on you," and things like that. Now, I wasn't necessarily talking to the women like that way, but I was noticing the changes there. Obviously, you got to be careful. You can compliment the men and tell them how great they look pretty easily, but you got to be a little more careful about how you approach that with the women around the neighborhood. So, and I was, but I did notice the amazing changes in these people, and it was exciting to see for them, and it was inspiring for me because I was struggling. I was struggling deeply, but because of my feelings about medicines and my experiences with the medical community and all of this, I was not willing to go down the GLP-1 synthetic road. That just was not going to happen for me. So when I got when I got home from vacation, here I am. I love this picture, and I know you guys do too. When I got home from vacation, this is us in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, about the middle of June 2025. When I got home from vacation, it's like, okay, I've done intermittent fasting. It has worked for me in the past. I've had mediocre results with it, but I've had results. So I am going to really buckle down and try harder than I ever have before to get my fasting in, to try to eat more reasonably, to try to eat better, to get more exercise. I'm going to do all the things that I've done 100 times before. This time I'm going to try harder. This time I'm really going to buckle down and really do this. And I was trying that, and most of you have seen the old weight loss chart. If you haven't, here it is. Yeah, back here, and let's see here. Let's get this thing flipped upside down, or let's flip that right side up. Okay, here we are. So we are here in July, and here I am trying to fast, and I'm doing, a few 14 and 15-hour fasts. My hands are shaking because I'm still recovering from the basketball. But I'm doing a few, 14, 15-hour fasts mid-July. This is just pure willpower. This is just gutting it out. But you can see after doing that for 4 days, I am starting to feel better now. Like, this feels good. I like what's going on here, but it's just hard. It is hard to intermittent fast day after day after day. And it's hard to get yourself into that ketosis area that allows you to really burn fat. And that's exactly what I was running up against. When I get to 14 or 15 hours, when I'm entering ketosis, that's exactly when I run out of willpower. And it's like, okay, I can't go into that fat burning zone because I just don't have it. Then I fell off the wagon for a couple of days. And then on a Monday here, I fasted again, only 13 and a half hours, but it was that Monday night that I learned about this Unicity program. It was that Monday night that I learned about these two nutraceuticals that could improve my fasting. I ordered those products. They showed up on the 23rd. I started fasting. You can see that all of a sudden my fasting jumped up to amazing numbers. All of a sudden I was fasting 19, 20 hours a day and doing that pretty darn consistently. And what happened to my weight? In 13 days, I lost 10 pounds. And I was like, wow, this is just amazing. This is really amazing. But because I'm stubborn and a little hard-hearted and a little hard-headed, I decided, I don't, this is just me. This isn't these nutraceuticals. This isn't this program. I'm just getting better at this. Maybe I'll still use these products, but maybe I won't use them every day. Maybe I'll just use a half dose. I'll kind of formulate my own little program. And I was kind of playing around with that, and the fasting just wasn't as strong. The results weren't as good, and because I wasn't really doing the program, I started missing a few days, and I kind of let go, there in the middle of August for 3 days because I just didn't have what it took. And that's when my stubbornness kind of dropped, and I said, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm just gonna do the program. I'm gonna use the evening, the balance, the fiber drink with dinner, and I'm gonna use the Unamate product drink in the morning and naturally raise my GLP-1. And I'm not gonna fight this anymore. I'm just gonna do this. And all of a sudden, my numbers got really, really consistent. You can see I missed September 4th. That was my birthday, but I fasted every single day in those 3 months. I fasted except for this one night when we went and saw Ohio State and UCLA. We ate at Denny's at 1 o'clock in the morning, and that kind of messed up that fast. In those 3 months, other than that one day, I did not miss a fast, and I fasted on average 19 hours a day. So wow, that was just freaking amazing. That was freaking amazing. Um, the thing that I would mention and get back to here about these other folks in my neighborhood is I have seen all of them put weight back on. They haven't put all the weight back on, but I have seen all of them put weight back on after they got off of that GLP-1 shot. Now, what motivated them to get off of that GLP-1? Were their side effects starting to show up? Was it stomach discomfort? Was it cost? I'm not going to go explore all those issues with them, but I've seen all of them swing back to some degree, and maybe they'll swing back completely. I don't know. I have also experienced the same thing in the past when I have had weight loss journeys in one direction for a period of time, and it's always been around 8 or 9 months, and then things will start to swing the other way. And so I am sitting here telling you that this has been a transformational journey for me. And now I'm sitting right here at the point where we're going to see if this is really changing me in a foundational way, or if this is just going to be another one of those weight loss stories where things swing back the other way. And I can tell you that I know this body pretty well, and I have a sense of what's going on. And I can also say that this body does, like the body has a memory, and it wants to start thinking, you know what, it's time to start swinging back the other way. But my mind also has a memory, and I know that I have new tools and new understanding and a new capability to deal with this. And I am perfectly confident that I'm going to be able to continue to transform this down instead of allowing this to move back up. And that's what we're going to see here in the next month or two. We're going to see whether I can continue to move this on down to where I want to be. I'm essentially at 175 today. I want to take this down to 150. I want to take this body down to 150 pounds. And I want to be very slender and lean, and have very lean muscle mass, while at the same time adding muscle and becoming stronger. So that's going to be really interesting to see what happens here in the next couple of months, because if I'm going to reach my goals, if I'm going to reach my goal by age 60, just a little more than 5 months away now, I've got a lot of work to do, and I've got to lean out. And so it's going to be interesting. Um, my I'm about 15 minutes into this, and so I had some things I wanted to share about these weight loss journeys. The first one was 1983. That was when I was down with my mom in Columbus. I put weight on that winter, because I had come off the farm. On the farm there, I would get up in the morning before I would eat anything. I would go out and milk the cows. And that was a pretty good morning workout. That was a lot of morning activity, milking the cows, carrying the buckets back and forth to the milk house, throwing hay bales around, sometimes pitching manure and cleaning out the gutter. That was a nice morning workout before going to school in the morning. And when I moved down to Columbus with my mom and I didn't have that little workout twice a day, and especially that morning workout, that weight started coming on really quick. And by late March, maybe early April of 1983, I had put on about 20 pounds. And but I got busy that spring, and I started working out in a lot of different ways. I started riding my bike. I started lifting weights at the racquetball club. I started playing racquetball and tennis, and I was extremely active throughout that spring and especially the summer. And I was able to get back down to a reasonable place. I was eating a lot of salads at the Wendy's salad bar. I was eating a lot of whole wheat bagels and orange juice that I would buy at the Big Bear supermarkets down there at Columbus, specifically the one at the Kingsdale Shopping Center. And I felt really good that summer. But that weight loss swing happened again that fall when I was out in Idaho. So that was my first experience with getting to a bad place at 170, which actually sounds pretty good today. But for me then, that was a lot of weight gain, and then working really, really hard and dieting really, really hard. Calories in, calories out, diet, exercise. I really worked that program, and I saw some moderate success with it. Pretty decent success where I probably got down under 160 that summer. So I lost 10 or 12 pounds, but I put on a lot of strength. I put a lot of fitness and muscle that summer for sure. But then in the fall, when I kind of lost track, when I lost the ability to stay on my program, then the weight came back on and some of the fitness started to leave. And it was really disappointing to me as a 17-year-old boy to think, man, the only way that I can stay healthy is to, have this really strict diet and work out like a freaking fruitcake. That is the only way that I can feel good about myself and like who I am, is to work out what seems like all the time and to have this fairly strict diet. That's the only way that I can feel good. And that is the message that came to me as a teenage boy and essentially have been carrying around for the last 40, 42, 43 years of my life, is that it's all about calories in, calories out, working out and dieting, and that is the only way to feel good and to look good and to be the physical person that I want to be. I have been working that program for 43 years, and I have extensive journaling that covers a lot of things about my life, but there is a good share of it that is talking about this very issue. How do I become the physical person I want to be and maintain it? I have a lot of records. So anybody want to challenge me on that one, I'm open to that game. But then in 1984, as the winter of 1984 set in, and I found myself overweight again, not feeling that great. 1984 was a really interesting year, and it was the winter that I had a lot of spiritual experiences that winter. There was a lot of emotional things going on around me, and I was also playing a lot of church basketball, milking the cows again, getting other forms of exercise, and trying to eat correctly. And 1984 was a very, very powerful, positive year for a lot of reasons that I would have a difficult time completely explaining. But um, but the interesting thing is that that too came to a head around late June of 1984, and I found things falling apart for me that summer in ways that I could not understand. I could not understand all the different things that had impacted my life that winter and spring. I could not understand how to fuel my body properly, control my hormones that were affecting my weight gain so that I could continue my athletic pursuits and my athletic, and health journey. And it became extremely troubling to me that summer as it seemed like things continued to get progressively worse for me. And that fall of 1984 was the darkest period of my life. It was a time when I felt a lot of depression. I felt a lot of discouragement. I felt a lot of responsibility that somehow I had created this situation that I was in, but I didn't understand how or why, and it was just a really tough time for me to work through. Um, I think with being 22 minutes into this, and it doesn't look like I have any viewers, I think I'm going to bring this story to a halt here and just see how much interest there is in me continuing to share this weight loss story and these fluctuations in weight, because I have additional stories to share about when I was on a mission and some of the weight gain and weight loss things I experienced there. I have additional stories to share from like the time I spent in Alabama when I did actually get down into the low 150s, and some of those impacts and some of the things that came out of that. I also have an amazing story to share about the summer of 2008 and how I lost 20 pounds in about 3 weeks' time, and without even trying, and then went on to lose another 10. Um, and then I have this experience in 2025 last year. So if there's interest in me sharing these and doing some comparing and contrasting, if somebody wants to share some things about their own up and downs of weight loss and what their experience has been, I will respond to that. Like, I will be glad to share more and talk through this with anyone who wants to tackle this topic. But if there isn't really any interest, if I don't really get any feedback, I think I may just call a halt on this and move on to other things tomorrow night. And then, of course, on Sunday night, we will have Family History Night again, and we'll be talking about the Karsten, is it Sanke? Not sure on that. Karsten Sanke Hansen story, and how his children all came over to the United States, and his wife came over to the United States, but he did not. He stayed home, and I think the wife came over after he passed away. It's not like she left him or something. But we'll talk about what we know about him, what we know about his wife, and what we know about his children, which included Miss Thomas Hansen, who we talked about here most recently. So we'll talk about that family on Sunday night. We'll talk more about this weight loss journey if people want to jump in here and make comments and respond and let me know that that's wanted and needed. Otherwise, I may just let the issue go for now. So that is my show here on a Friday night, and really appreciate anyone who tunes in. This little thing is small. It seems pretty insignificant, and I am so okay with that. Like, I don't find that bothering me at all. And I know that we're going to be fine here. I know that we're going to be good. So everybody have a great Saturday.